Update. My best friend is pregnant with fiance's baby and plans on leaving the baby with me because she is not ready to be a mom. Original post. I am in a situation that seems so surreal. So, I have a best friend. We've been friends for 12 years, and she's been more than a sister to me. We share everything, and we've been together through a lot. I also have a fiancé, and we all share the same social circle, a large group of friends. I have been with my fiancé for 4 years now, and last year in June we welcomed our beautiful baby boy. There were a lot of complications, and I also had surgery due to those issues. I stayed in the hospital for a month and was on bed rest for the next few weeks. In August, one of our friends had a wedding, and it was about an 8-hour drive away, so I couldn't attend because it was quite a hassle, considering I wasn't well and the baby was still too young. But my fiancé attended, and so did my BFF and a large part of our group. After the wedding, BFF drove back with my fiancé, stayed with me for 3 days, and then had to go back to work, which is not in the same city, so I didn't see her for months. Everything went back to normal. I went back to work and everything seemed fine. I talked to her like usual, and that was that. Fast forward to this week. I came home from work and guess who? BFF, heavily pregnant, due anytime now. Her due date is the 16th. I welcomed her, got her settled in, and everything was fine. We had dinner, then started catching up. I didn't want to pry too much because I figured if she had wanted to tell me details of her pregnancy, she would. Maybe she wasn't comfortable yet. So I told her we had to make plans to go out, shop, eat. You know, normal stuff. Then I asked when she'd be leaving so we could make the most of the time we had. She proceeded to tell me she isn't leaving. I was confused and asked again, like, what? She again stated she isn't leaving. I asked her why, and her answer, oh my god, the baby is my fiancé's. I was left speechless. Then she said she'd thought about it and that she's not ready for motherhood, so she came to deliver. Stay for 4 months while she heals and rests, and then she'll leave the baby here and go. At this point, I felt like cameras were hidden somewhere and it was a prank. Half expecting her to say it was a joke, but no, she was as serious as a heart attack, which I was sort of having. I didn't know what to do, how to react, whether to scream or yell or kick her out. So I just left, went to my room and locked myself in, but I couldn't sleep either. I haven't talked to my fiancé yet. He works as a sales rep, and most of the week he's away. So what do I do? Currently, it's Saturday, the busiest day at the office, and I can't even think straight. How do I navigate this situation? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Grab your baby, grab your things, and move out. He can care for that baby. Why should you do that when both of them betrayed you and you have a baby yourself? First, call the police and have her arrested for trespassing. She was only there at your invitation and is now refusing to leave. I would call your fiancé now and put him on speakerphone with your BFF. The moment he confirms that this isn't fake, tell him that you'll have all of his belongings packed and ready to go for him to move out the moment he returns. Then show your ex-BFF to the door because it's your apartment, not hers, so she has no right to stay there. He'll be home by 2 p.m. today, and I think I'm already freaking out about what's going to happen then. If I ask him on the phone, he's going to lie or deny or hang up and not come home. I think I'd rather surprise him, or I'm going to surprise myself. Either way, I think the conversation would be more honest in person. You get your ducks in a row and GTFO. He cheated on you with your bestie and got her pregnant and never told you. What a POS. This is not a man you want to stay with or marry, or get stuck raising the affair child. Pack up and move to a family members with your child if you can. Contact a lawyer ASAP. I'm in Kenya and the judicial system is pretty much non-existent and hella expensive, but the good thing is we don't have many joint assets. I am considering this, thanks. Now for the first update. Well, thank you all for the advice and support. It's really been helpful, and it's good to know I'm not going crazy. Sorry, the previous post was long and not well written. So here's the update. I left work at 1, got home, took my kid and house help to my neighbor, who I've grown close to and who sometimes helps me out when my house help is off duty. When I came back, she was sleeping, like completely oblivious to the fact that she had just turned my life upside down. Then the POS of a fiancé came home, and I confronted them. So apparently I'm that dumb because tell me why they told me they had been together since before. And since she became pregnant, he's been going to see her every other week and supporting her, paying her rent, buying her food, etc. They said I wasn't supposed to find out. The now ex-fiancé got mad at my ex-BFF for coming over and telling me, and after all that BS, we had an argument. I blew up at both of them, chased them out, threw them out, and locked the door behind them. I was honestly expecting more of a fight because I was ready to mess that man up. All that time wasted thinking we were building something together, it's a lot. I'm really angry and disappointed, but I think it's all going to be okay because I don't need that kind of baggage right now. I have a lot to think about and a lot to go through. I don't know how or what happened, but his mother just called a few hours ago. I didn't pick up. I don't want to deal with that BS right now. I know she's going to defend him, say I should give him a chance, or that it's not wrong. I don't know what they're going to try to say to me, but I don't want to hear it right now. They're very traditional and don't see anything wrong with cheating or having another child with another woman. It's like it's common, and I'm just really mad. Right now I haven't talked to either of them, but I'm pretty sure they went to his home, which is very far away, like 2 hours from here. But I don't care at this moment. So, I'm here in bed typing. My son just went to bed, but I'm really not taking any calls or anything to do with them right now. I just want to enjoy the peace while it lasts, because I know tomorrow I won't. I want to have a moment of peace. So much for Mother's Day. I was hoping for something celebratory, not this kind of drama. I never expected this kind of betrayal. But I'm good. I can't waste any more energy on that man. He's not worth it. I know he's not worth it. Thank you all for your support, truly. It's been a lot, and it feels like I'm alone right now because I can't even ask my mom for support. I bet she would say I should just stay for the sake of marriage and all that BS, so I'm not talking to her right now. And anyone who's going to tell me to forgive him, I'm going to tell them to shove it where the sun doesn't shine. That's all for now. I'm just going to enjoy my peace and my cup of tea. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Second update 2 months later. Hi guys, it's been quite a while since I posted, so here's the update. But first of all, thank you all for your support and comments. You really helped me gain clarity in this situation. After I kicked them out, they went to stay at his parents' place. Apparently, this affair of theirs had been going on for a long time, and every time he was away at work, he would go see her. He wanted to have both of us, but she decided she didn't want to be a mom, and thus disrupted their plan. That Sunday, as expected, I got lots of calls and texts from his parents trying to make me see sense, trying to make it all seem normal and get me to take him back, and all that BS. But I was just done with him. Nothing could ever make any of that look normal. He also came back the following Saturday wanting to talk, and said things along the lines of, I gave you space to stop being angry and be reasonable, so I'm going to give you a chance to reconsider your options, because once I leave, I won't come back. And as you see, I have another wife. That made me super mad. I called him all the names in the book, told him off for how horrible he is as a human being, and told him he's nothing but scum who doesn't deserve another second of my time. I told him to look around, find anything he ever bought and take it with him. I made sure he collected everything with his name on it and kicked him out of my life for good. Tell me why later that evening my mom called me and said his parents had called her to tell her to talk to me. Turns out I was pretty presumptuous about my mom because during the week we had talked, and she's been my rock through all this. She even took my son for the week as I sorted through everything else. My mom tore them a new one. They had wanted to get the families together to discuss how we should get back together, but both my parents shut that down fast. They told them how they gave them their daughter in good terms, but they failed to raise their son to be an honorable man, and how the disrespect toward me, in extension, was disrespect toward them too. After he took his stuff, leaving the furniture and other things he couldn't carry, he mostly took his clothes and shoes, and was petty enough to take a pair of shoes he had bought for me earlier this year. I sold them. Every single one. It took a little while, but I did. Then I moved and bought everything new. So now I'm living in this cozy, new upgraded house, no stress from anyone or anything. I don't know what happened to that bee, but quite frankly, I don't care. Her betrayal was bad enough. I can't waste time thinking about someone who never gave a good thought about me. They really deserve each other, and the trash took itself out too. Also, the meeting with the families happened, but it wasn't to get us together. It was for custody and whatnot. He still gets to be in our son's life, pays for everything including future school fees and all that, and if he doesn't, his parents are to be held liable for that. So it's safe to say I'm set up and comfortable where I'm at. Everything is going well. I'm happy and at peace. It's a relatively happy ending to an otherwise crappy experience. Thank you all for your support through this crazy situation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife we either go to marriage counseling or I file for divorce? My wife, 31 female, and I, 32 male, have been together for 11 years and married for 6. We have 3 young kids together, and our marriage is falling apart because my wife doesn't want to change a thing. One of our biggest issues is the topic of more kids. My wife has decided that 3 is nowhere near enough, and she wants to have several more children, at least 3 more she says, but she likes the idea of even more than that. Meanwhile, I'm done with the 3 we have. She has tried to tell me we'll be having at least 3 more kids, and there's nothing I can say or do to stop it. So, we haven't had sex in 5 months. She has called me an a-hole and accused me of hating our kids, and when I tell her to stop saying that, she says I must hate them if I don't want more of them. She shuts down any concerns I bring up and never has an answer to where we'll get the money or time for 3 more kids. Her last delivery was difficult, and the doctors told us they wouldn't recommend many more pregnancies for her. She doesn't care and told me as much. She says that not giving in makes me manipulative. Another one of our big arguments is over time with the kids. We both work, and I feel like we should both be involved with the kids and taking care of the house. She tries to hog all the time when we're not working. She has told me she doesn't want me to take time with our kids away from her, and I've told her I just want to spend some time with them too. The times I do have the kids, she acts like she hasn't seen them for weeks, even though we live in the same house. I leave her to do everything else even though I do my fair share. I've tried to suggest we figure out a schedule or just do things as a family, but she says I'm not going to take over the kids and leave her cleaning after work. I can't bring up sharing time with the kids and chores because she's not okay with it being mentioned. Another big issue is money. We disagree on how we spend, save, and utilize the money we earn. It actually comes back to the topic of having more kids and how we spend time with our kids now. She doesn't have any concern for financial stability, and I do. There are other smaller things we fight about too, though none of those are as frequent or as long-standing. But for a year now, our marriage has been falling apart, and she speaks to me like she hates me 80% of the time. There's no middle ground or talking things through because she resorts to name-calling. After trying to speak with her and asking for therapy before, and her turning me down flat, I reached the end of the line. I started therapy on my own and booked us a marriage counseling session, but she didn't show. After a few more individual sessions, I told my wife it's either marriage counseling or divorce, because I don't want to raise our kids hearing these daily fights and feeling caught between feuding parents day after day. My wife said it wasn't my call to say either or, and that if I really cared, I would be fighting harder for our marriage. Am I the a-hole? Get a divorce. It's not going to get better. She obviously doesn't understand how marriage and children work. Having additional kids is a 2-yes situation, not an I'll have more kids against your wishes situation. Yep, it's sexual coercion. OP needs to get the heck out. At least you'll be able to spend time and know your kids during your custody time. Additionally, you have been fighting for your marriage. She wants complete and total surrender to her thoughts and feelings. Again, that doesn't work in a marriage. Marriage is about compromise and working through issues. Your wife is out in left field, and I wouldn't touch her in any way considering you may have another child as a result of your encounters. We haven't been intimate in months, and that's not going to change anytime soon, ever from the way things are looking. Not the a-hole. Your wife is off her rocker. Get a vasectomy. Freeze some sperm on reserve just in case your next wife wants a child. Seriously, she has a screw loose. Lost the plot. Without idioms, she needs her head examined. In all seriousness, does she have postpartum psychosis? If she won't get help, it's on you to help your children and yourself. See an attorney. Yes, divorce is hard on kids, but living in a home brewing utter toxicity is worse. If you get out and form a healthy union with someone else, the kids will see an example of a functional family. She won't let you parent? How's she going to like parenting every other week? This goose is cooked. I'm not freezing any sperm, but I will be getting a vasectomy soon. She doesn't have PPP or PPD. This is simply her being stubborn and wanting to get her way on everything. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my cousin why my wife doesn't do any chores? A year ago, things in my marriage came to a head and my wife nearly divorced me. Long story short, when we got married 13 years ago, she and I agreed that she would work part-time and handle most, but not all of the domestic stuff while I focused on my career. Any home improvement projects she came up with, maintenance and repairs, as well as parenting duties. I was up many nights with the babies and did everything else that comes with being a parent. 10 years ago, she went back to work full-time and even started her own business with my full support. The problem? I never adjusted my domestic contributions. That, understandably, led to her being burned out and she started resenting me. Fast forward to a year ago, she was going to leave me, and I, realizing how badly I'd screwed up, decided to take on and provide my wife all the support she had given me. Ever since then, I've been doing the majority of the housework while she focuses on growing her business and being with the kids. And ever since, our marriage, with a little additional help from marriage counseling, has never been better. Fast forward a bit further, and my cousin, along with her husband and 3 kids, stayed with us this weekend. But they don't know any of the above and just saw my wife relaxing and playing with the 6 kids all weekend, while I tirelessly cooked, cleaned, and kept the place spotless for 2 families. So here's where I might be the a-hole. My cousin started asking me how often I cook or do laundry, etc., and I told her all the time, but didn't tell her why. She then started pointing out everything I was doing to her husband with a clear message that if I could, he could. Here's the thing. Her husband is the primary breadwinner, and unlike my wife, my cousin actually works only part-time. Should I explain that we are only a year into my penance and that my wife used to be the one doing all this and more? Or do I just mind my own business? Edit. One quick clarification. If you people have picked up on the word penance and, if meant seriously, legitimately criticized the word. However, it didn't come off how I meant it. My wife did not ask for penance, nor is it really that. It was written more tongue-in-cheek because I am no fan of doing laundry. I wanted to win my wife back because she was going to leave me, and I decided that I needed to show her with action that I fully support her and her business. My wife's love language is acts of service, and she cares not for words but for action. So, action I am taking. At some point, we will find a different dynamic that is more equitable, but for now, I feel that I owe her this and love how happy it makes her. It is none of your cousin's business how your household runs. You should probably also not see your chores contribution as penance. It is what it is. You are taking your turn. There is no penance about it. Also, if OP is still working full-time, the household chores need to be distributed evenly. One person shouldn't be tirelessly cooking and cleaning, while the other is relaxing with the kids, whatever that means. You should both be pitching in with cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids. Also, the kids can be assigned some age-appropriate chores too. Actually, one of the innovations I introduced 6 months ago was chores for the kids. Work smart, not hard. Simply explain that the division of labor looks different for every couple. She supported you while you built your career, and now you are returning the favor. Or don't explain at all. I do hope there is some flexibility in your division of labor as needed depending on what is going on. Like if one of you is sick or goes out of town, or you have visitors, or just different things that pop up in life that disrupt the usual routine. If not, in the long run that could end up being a point of contention as well. I have to travel for work from time to time, and she absolutely manages everything when I'm gone. And certain jobs are too big for one person. But right now, I need her to see this isn't a phase. In time, things will become more equitable. Update. Found out my brother-in-law is the reason why my husband divorced me. Original post. I, 38 female, met my brother-in-law, 38 male at uni. He asked me out in our first year, and I refused. He called me the C word and said that I am shallow. My best friend told me that it was harmless comments from a drunken guy who got rejected. I never thought of myself as shallow. It was his demeanor and awkwardness that were off-putting to me. Anyway, he proved my friend right. And other than those comments, I never felt uncomfortable during my uni years because he never bothered me again. Not even looked my way. The next time I met him was when my baby sister, 28 female, introduced him as her boyfriend. I didn't even recognize him at first because it had been about 9 to 10 years since that day he talked to me. He was visibly annoyed that I didn't recognize him and called me a liar. The family was skeptical at first about him, but he seemed to treat my sister right and she seemed happy. He is very rich, taking her all over the world, and he seemed kind with us too. They got married after a year of dating. They have 3 children now. I met my now ex, 40 male, 5 years ago, and the only odd comment from my brother-in-law was that I was still as shallow and superficial as I was in uni. At the time, I took it as a joke, but in hindsight, when I found out the truth and started thinking back, looking for red flags, this was probably a big one. He never showed any signs that he disliked my husband, and he was always decent enough. His indifference to having a close friendship with my husband and me didn't seem odd, because he was always a recluse. A year ago, my husband came home and accused me of cheating, and he had evidence. The guy contacted him and had nudes, etc., of me on his phone. The guy told my husband that he didn't know at first that I was married, but as soon as he found out, he contacted my now ex. He even apologized to my husband. I have never met this guy in my life. Nothing I said or did made my husband believe me. He left me, and our divorce is pending. Then, yesterday, that guy contacted me. He apologized for what he did and told me that he is friends with my brother-in-law. He sent me conversations. Endless conversations my brother-in-law had about me for years. He has never forgotten that I, in his words, didn't even give him a chance and only judged him by his looks. He called me the C word in that chat. Both group chats were with his friends, but mostly with this guy. They planned this attack, and my brother-in-law somehow got access to my photos. The reason this guy contacted me now is that he felt guilty because even when my marriage was over, my brother-in-law was still angry and hateful, especially when he heard that I was on a date last weekend. So the friend felt that if he didn't help, his friend would keep ruining innocent people's lives. I'm not sure what to do. My brother-in-law has actually been happier and more sociable than usual since my divorce, and now I know why. Although at first I thought he felt sorry and wanted to support me. His jokes about me ending up an old maid with cats as companions don't sound like jokes anymore. He meant them. I don't want to ruin my sister's life. She's very happy with her husband. I'm not sure either if I can face her husband. I'm not sure if I should tell my ex or not. I am very heartbroken that he didn't believe me. I love him very much. He is the love of my life, but I'm not sure if I can forgive him for not believing me. But he is a victim in this too, so maybe he needs to know for closure. I am so terribly sad and hurt. I'm sorry this post got very long. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Why wouldn't you tell your sister her husband is batshit crazy and seems weirdly obsessed with you to the point their marriage might be a weird revenge fantasy for him? I'm scared to be honest. It wouldn't shock me if this guy found your sister and is dating her just to remain close to you. Feels too coincidental that he somehow popped back up in your life and then got mad that you didn't remember him. I feel so too. It makes it even worse. How did he meet your sister? Dating site. Yes, you should tell your sister her husband is crazy. Yes, you should clear your name with your ex. Even if you don't want to go back to him, you should also go to the police over your pics he shared without consent. I will be honest, I'm terrified. Now for the first update. My soon-to-be ex-husband knows everything now. Apparently the guy who contacted me contacted my husband at the same time and confessed to him. My soon-to-be ex is coming to town this weekend, and he wants to talk. Afterwards, I will probably need to look into taking legal actions, if that's possible, and tell my family. I think now that exposing him is the best and more safe approach should anything more serious happen, At least people would be aware of who to blame. I want to at least make sure that my sister and her children are in safety before I tell them everything, like meeting them at my parents' house after I tell my parents. The pictures were real and were probably stolen from my phone or my husband's because he is the only one that I took the pictures for. I don't know if I can get any justice since the pictures were not of my face. At least I was smart enough not to have my face shown in nudes. I don't know what will happen. When you talk to your sister, have your parents there for support. I will tell them first. Good luck. I hope your whole family will be safe from him and also that your marriage can be salvaged. Yeah, I have tried so much to forget about my soon-to-be ex, and I thought I have managed well, but hearing his voice today after over a year just brought back all good memories. I haven't stopped crying today, missing him. Any update on this OP? I believe you said previously you were meeting with your ex Friday, correct? Hi, yes. I met with my husband and it didn't go well at all. We talked and he apologized and asked me to forgive him. He said that he never truly believed that I would cheat, but the evidence was overwhelming, and he just thought that he believed me because he was blinded by his love for me. I told my husband everything going back to university. He seems to believe me this time. He then wanted to head over to my sister and her husband to confront him, but I asked him not to, until I am comfortable that my sister is at least at my parents'. I wanted my parents to ask her to go visit them and we tell her then. That way she is not with her husband when she finds out, and he finds out that he is exposed. This morning I got many calls and texts from everyone because my husband went and did it anyway, and he had a huge fight with my brother-in-law. He denied everything, of course, so my husband blasted him on social media and made an apology for believing rumors about me. My sister was angry with me, and my parents were confused and shocked. I have talked to my parents and told them everything now, and they believe me. But they agree that I should have given the chance to talk to my sister before hell broke loose. Now she is not speaking to me because my husband tried to beat up her husband. I have tried to contact the friend and ask him to talk to my sister, but he said he didn't want to be a part of this anymore. Now for the second update 2.5 months later. I am sorry that I have been gone for so long and I am overwhelmed by the support that you have given me here. Some of you are still asking about me. I don't know where to start. I have been in constant pain and stress about everything that happened, but my brother-in-law is now exposed to everyone for what he did to me. For those of you who think he is in love with me, he isn't. He very much hates my guts and has done so since the day I rejected him. Hate is also a driving force, not only love. So for the stupid users, that I would like to call losers, who made fun of me about bragging about a man not being over me in 20 years, that's not it. If this is bragging, then you're actually very sick in the head. Unfortunately, I was sent these comments from a different sub about updates. What a bunch of losers. I was in constant fear that my brother-in-law would hurt my sister because of me, and I am not certain if he will. But that was the only reason I have been apathetic. I wasn't sure what the right step was with people like him. He has hidden his hatred so well for so long, so what more is he capable of? I didn't want my sister and her children to be the collateral damage. That's why I have been careful. I am sorry to disappoint you by not being the strong bad bitch. I have other priorities. My sister and I finally talked. I love her and her children very much. She seemed very hurt and is questioning her entire marriage. And who can blame her? I tried the baby steps approach. I wanted her to know I was there for her, and I was honest with her about my worries for her and her children with a man like him. It worked for a while, and I was being hopeful, but something changed, and it probably had to do with her husband giving her an ultimatum, divorce or cut your family off. She chose her marriage. It broke my parents and me, but I don't think we can do anything about it. It is her own choice, even if we believe it is coerced. But maybe there's this little chance that she knows him better than we do. There's a little hope that he is a better person toward his family. I am clinging to that hope. She wrote us, telling us to forget she and her children existed, and that they will take legal action if we ever try to contact them. My brother-in-law deleted all his social media accounts, and his friends apparently all want nothing to do with him. I have heard he is planning on leaving the city because everyone knows what he did now, and he is having a hard time with it. He barely leaves the house, and he has been shamed, even at work. My ex-husband and I are moving on with the divorce. I don't blame him for believing the rumors, but at the same time, I wish he knew me better, like I thought he did, that I would never do such a thing and cheat on him. I am so sorry that he moved back for me and probably was hoping we could give it another chance, but I can't. He has apologized so many times and said so many times that he never truly believed the rumors, but I have started to think that our marriage wasn't strong enough to overcome a rumor. It is nobody's fault, but I thought our love was stronger than it actually was. I think we both thought that. I have started dating a new guy a few weeks before all this started, after over a year of me not even being able to leave bed. He has seen all of this unfold, and he's been very patient and supportive. I think I have a real shot at happiness now. At least he knows everything and is well prepared in case my brother-in-law isn't done with me yet. Thank you for reading all this, and thank you again for being there for me. I'm sorry your sister is in a tough place. I hope she comes around because he's isolating her now. My only hope now is that she knows something that we don't about him, that he is better than we think. I am so sorry too, and I have nightmares all the time since she cut us off. I would still go after him for harassment. Even if there is no legal case, I'd still make sure even if he moves and finds a new job, they are made aware of how unhinged he is. He's talked and harassed you for years. It's his turn. I don't know if anyone mentioned, but boy were you spot on for not dating this creep 20 plus years ago. It was something about the way he looked at people. I don't know. You have a good gut instinct. Was this in the US? If so, I can't believe that there isn't a lawyer that sees something actionable. He knowingly and willfully destroyed your marriage. Problem is, you sue him, you're suing your sister. I am not in the US. Last update 2 years after the first post. I can't believe you guys are still DMing me on an almost weekly basis to ask about my situation with my sister and ex-husband. I am so sorry for not answering you, but I have not been here in almost 2 years now. Here is my update. I have moved away. It was the best thing I could do for my sanity. This was after my brother-in-law cornered me after work one day, demanding that we talk. He would not let go of my arm, and I even had a blue mark on my wrist from where he held me. I felt terrified and started crying. He asked me to take everything back because he was losing his reputation, and people were calling him a creep and an incel, and to give him a chance to talk because I had never given him a chance since I'm a C-word. A colleague called the police, but nothing happened afterward. I reported harassment, and it was dismissed. There were no grounds for a protection order either. My sister wants nothing to do with me. She has also participated in saying that I did cheat, and I guess she's saving face with her husband. My parents weren't allowed to talk to her at first, but now they have a good relationship again, under the condition that they cut me off, which they did. I don't blame them. She has her children, and honestly, she and her children are in more need of protection than me. I haven't seen my mom in about a year. I miss my sister, her children, and my parents. But that's that. My ex-husband and I have finalized our divorce. It was the best decision for us, even though my brother-in-law won. He didn't win though. He is still hateful and bitter. I told him and my sister that whatever happens to me will never be enough for his ego because he will always be angry that he never had me. This was what made my sister block me for good and my parents take her side. I don't blame them. Now I am living in a new city with my boyfriend. I have no contact with any of my family. My ex said that I ruined his life. I hope he forgives me too, but I never ruined anything on purpose. I am starting to find happiness again. My new job is amazing, and I still have my friends back home on top of the new friends I've made here. My boyfriend is amazing, supporting me through all of this. His family has become my family, and they took me in with open arms. We live closer to them now. Brother-in-law has never tried to contact or talk to or about me again. I guess all is well now. I remember your story. Wow. I'm so sorry for everything, but I'm so happy that you're okay now. How could your whole family abandon you like that? I can't even imagine. Be strong, OP. Take care. It was easy. It was either that, or my sister and her children are left to the mercy of a man that's capable of doing anything. I don't fault them, my mother especially. She knows I am strong. You have a good heart. And yes, I can see your strength because it can't be easy. But you are right. Your brother-in-law is a dangerous man. Hopefully, he will not turn against your sister and their children, but I can't imagine they are happy. What with all this? And yes, your sister will need your parents' support, sadly. It sucks, but hopefully your sister will be free of that man in time. Best of luck to you. Your best revenge against his terrible actions is living your best life. He is dangerous and cowardly, which makes him even more dangerous when he came to my workplace. He tried to run away when the police came, and he also tried to run away when my ex-husband went to confront and beat him up. Last story. My husband wants a divorce since brother-in-law saw me naked. I don't know who to speak to because this is very embarrassing. My husband and I own a lake cottage, and we spend most weekends there. Sometimes his sister and her husband join us, but it is always pre-planned. They have 2 children. Last Friday, my husband told them to join us and sent me a text that they were coming with their children. I didn't see the text, and brother-in-law walked in on me while I was naked. I ran to the room and heard him say, "Damn," and laugh out loud, and then his wife and children walked in. Then I heard them fighting, and she drove away with the children. I don't know what he told his wife, but she was livid about it. He was laughing the whole time he told me. Eventually, I gave him my car after my husband answered me and said he was on his way, so I felt that I didn't need my car anymore. My husband didn't say much other than that he always told me not to go around naked. He has mentioned it sometimes when we are at home, like when I go up to the bathroom or drink water in the middle of the night and I am too sleepy to put on my robe, or when I am showering and I've forgotten something and I just run out to fetch it, which is what happened this time. But he hasn't spoken to me either and is just giving me the silent treatment. Today I told him to speak to me, and he is very angry because brother-in-law saw me, but also because he made some comments about it to sister-in-law, and my husband said that he wasn't sure he wanted to continue this marriage. I don't need any advice. I am just so heartbroken and wanted to vent somewhere because I am too embarrassed to tell my friends. Holy crap. Everyone in your orbit is behaving like absolute freaking children over this. He accidentally walked in and saw you naked. He didn't shoot your grandma. I'm sorry your husband is an insecure baby. In any normally functioning couple, this is a funny story that you laugh about for years down the line. There's definitely something deeper at work here. I feel like you could laugh at this almost immediately once the embarrassment wears off. Brother-in-law is weird for making a big deal of it. Sister-in-law is weird for driving off with the kids after, and husband is weird for wanting a divorce. What are they, never nudes? Sounds like your husband was looking for an excuse to get divorced. It does, doesn't it? That, or he's incredibly childish, or both. Or maybe sister-in-law wants a divorce and it's 2 birds, 1 stone. It's not like you were intimate, they're both overreacting and that's sus. How old is everyone? This is asinine. I am 38, husband is 47. Sister-in-law is 45, brother-in-law 40. This makes it worse. I honestly thought you were all in your early 20s. Yeah, I don't blame you for thinking that, because this is kindergarten level of childish behavior. Edit/mini update. Just got this from brother-in-law. I texted my husband, sister-in-law, and brother-in-law in a group chat to ask what happened. Sister-in-law blocked me. Brother-in-law told me this. Sister-in-law was angry that he shut the door behind him and left her and the children outside, and she started yelling at him. She'd been yelling the whole drive up. Then he told her why he shut the door behind him, and he was laughing about it and said that it was a great way to start his weekend and that he was looking forward to this day. What a sight for sore eyes. He said he was messing with her because she got angry at him for nothing and was always yelling at him. Well, it backfired on me because she left the idiot in my home for about an hour until he gave up hope that she would come back and borrowed my car. Sister-in-law was angry that he stayed in the cottage after she left for an hour and told my husband. My husband is a possessive moron, and I ignored his red flags because our marriage has been happy, and I love him, and his jealousy and possessiveness haven't had a chance to flare up because I have been a very devoted wife. I guess we all got the consequences of our actions. I ignored my husband's red flags, and they came back to bite me. Brother-in-law hurt sister-in-law because she's always angry at something. And now she's making his life a living hell. And my loser husband will lose what, according to him, the best thing that ever happened to him. Update. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take care of my niece after she called me a slur? Original post. I, 29 male, and my wife, 30 female, have 2 sons, 5 and 3. My wife works a full-time office job, while I work from home with extremely flexible hours. Basically, as long as I meet my deadlines, no one really cares how many hours it took or what time of day I work, outside of some Zoom meetings. My sister, 26 female, let's call her Barb, and her husband, 30 male, let's call him Nick, live nearby and work full-time jobs. They have a daughter, 5 female, let's call her Tracy. Because of my comfortable work schedule, when our kids started going to daycare, we basically decided that I'd be dropping off and picking up my niece from daycare alongside my own kids. I didn't really mind, and I thought it was great for my kids to spend time with their cousin. I get along with Tracy as well, and always thought I was her cool uncle. She's a sweet kid and usually well-behaved. So anyway, most days I bring her and my kids back to our house. I make them snacks or dinner, and in the afternoon/evening, my sister comes to pick them up. A few days ago, the 5-year-olds were watching Bluey on TV as I was preparing snacks with my 3-year-old, and I suddenly heard yelling. I rushed over to see what was up, and my son was yelling at her, "My dad's not a girl," while my niece yelled back, "He is. He's a faggot. That's like a girl." The word is different in my language, but the meaning holds, as does the distinction between using it versus simply addressing a gay person. I was kind of in shock at first, but I turned off the TV, sat her down, and began explaining that this is a very bad word, and we shouldn't be calling people that. And that regardless, I'm not a girl. Because this is a bad word, she should apologize to me, because we don't act mean to each other in this family. And if I hear this again, I'm going to talk to her parents and she's going to get in trouble. She said she won't get in trouble because that's what her dad called me, and he's not in trouble. I was stunned. I told her that regardless of what her dad said, it's a very bad word and she's not to use it with me or in my presence, and that she should apologize regardless because it hurt my feelings, which she did, because she's a really good kid. We talked some more and I prodded her about other things her parents said, and from what I gathered, getting info out of a 5-year-old being obviously a difficult and unreliable process. Nick, my brother-in-law, told my sister in Tracy's presence that men shouldn't be sitting at home all day and doing childcare. That cooking is a woman's duty, as is cleaning, and really most of the things I do around my house. And that I'm a girl. I interpret this as not really a man, because I do housework and my wife earns more money than me. I explained to her the best I could that men and women could work from an office or from home, and that my wife or Barb working long hours from the office doesn't make the men and vice versa. But I didn't dwell on it with her since it's not really her fault. I didn't immediately bring it up with my sister because I figured it would be a difficult conversation, and I didn't want to have it in front of the kids. And I wanted to talk it out with my wife first as well. I did talk to my wife that evening, and she seemed really upset as well. I told her that I think I should demand an apology from Nick and my sister, and she agreed. So I called my sister and told her what happened, and she said that it's just a word and I'm blowing it out of proportion, and obviously Nick doesn't dislike me. I said I don't care whether he does or doesn't dislike me. He is talking crap about me behind my back to my niece and to her, and she is apparently very chill about this rather than standing up for me. She said that was how Nick was, and I should stop being a drama queen. I told her to buzz off, and that if that was how she felt, she could pick up her own child from daycare, and hung up. I know it was really short notice and rude, but I really felt like I was being disrespected by people I did so much for over the years and who were my family. My wife said she understood, and that I shouldn't back down until I at least get a proper apology. The next 2 days were a weekend and there was no daycare. I assumed there would be calls or texts from Barb, but there was nothing. In fact, the suspicious lack of any messages or calls made me think she didn't take my words seriously. And this actually got me even angrier. The calls did come when it was time to pick up Tracy for daycare, and I, obviously, didn't come. I dropped my own kids off and didn't even answer for a while. I know it was petty, but I was stewing for 2 days and figured letting Barb stew for a few hours seemed really appropriate and felt really good. Around noon when she called again, I did pick up. I was going to smugly tell her that I was ready for my apology and we would put it behind us, but I didn't get to. Instead, she went off on me about how I was irresponsible and flaked, and she was so late for work because of me, to which I just said, "I told you I wasn't going to pick her up. You had 2 days to make arrangements." And she kept yelling at me, so I hung up again. She kept calling and sending me texts about picking Tracy up from daycare, to which I said I would not be, then stopped replying. When I came to pick my kids up, Tracy was expecting me to take her as well, and I didn't, which was very rough on me and her both. Like, I know it's not her fault and she's 5, and she suddenly doesn't get to go over to our place and play and have snacks. But at the same time, I didn't want to just let this thing go. I felt like I deserved an apology, and still do. So I explained that me and her mom were fighting, but I'd pick her up again when we work it out. She obviously didn't take it well, because she's 5, but I apologized, took my kids, and left. Well, a bit later I got a call from my mom. Barb roped her into picking up Tracy, but my mom is disabled, so she was having a really hard time with Tracy and asked me why I was being mean to Barb. I told her everything, expecting her to take my side, but instead she also pulled a, "You know how Nick is." To which I replied that the more I realize how Nick is, the less I like it. And if he thinks all this crap in general and about me specifically, I sure as heck ain't going to be doing free labor for him. She said I was blowing this all out of proportion, and I told her I wasn't the one doing it. Because all I asked for was a freaking apology, and everyone else seemed to prefer all of this crap to just giving it to me. To which she said I should just be the bigger man and not let it get to me. To which I said I was done and to have fun with Tracy. That evening, I got a call from Nick himself, which I was hesitant about, but chose to answer on the off chance that I was actually about to get that apology. Nope. Apparently, my behavior is causing Barb great distress, and we're family, and how can I do this to my own sister? I told him that since we're family, how can he talk crap about me to his kid, whom I take care of daily? And he said he was only joking and it was all in good fun. I told him it was neither good nor fun for me and I want my apology. He blew up on me, telling me I was a faggot and couldn't take a joke, and called me a hysterical little girl. I told him to F off and that I was done with him and hung up. This led to a bunch of calls from Barb and my mom, which I didn't answer. Barb texted me that it wasn't fair for Tracy to pay the price for me being petty, and I told her that it wasn't fair for Tracy to pay the price of her parents being ungrateful pieces of turd, to which she just yelled at me a bunch about how she was going to lose her job and I was being cruel to her and to mom. I told her I was done, and unless her next message was an apology, I would be blocking her number, and it wasn't, so now I blocked her. The past few days, my mom's been picking up Tracy, and it's been really rough seeing her in daycare and explaining that grandma's going to pick her up, which she hates, and tells me she isn't having fun with grandma and wants to come over to our place, and it's breaking my heart. But at the same time, I never got a single apology from anyone but the 5-year-old, and I feel like letting this go would just be telling my family that it's okay to ignore my boundaries. But at the same time, I do love my niece, and I don't want to traumatize her or have her resent me. She is a good kid, and none of it is her fault. So, am I the a-hole? And what do I do? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. Nick is always the a-hole, so people are used to putting up with him. You standing up to him and making him responsible for his actions is breaking the status quo. They would rather tell you to help stabilize the boat than tell Nick to stop rocking it, because it's easier to bully a nice person than it is to change a bad person. Not the a-hole. Nick was so disrespectful about you and how you choose to live your life, although you've done nothing but be helpful in caring for their daughter. He's outed himself as an awful and a genuinely nasty person that you shouldn't bring anywhere near your family. It's very telling of how your family see you, as free child care and nothing else. A complete lack of respect. The fact that the child has remembered this all suggests that it's not the first time he said it, and he's clearly been whining about you constantly without your sister shutting it down. Your mom, the enabler, and sister are horrible people for downplaying the impact of those words while expecting you to continue caring for Tracy as if nothing happened. Until you receive a sincere and heartfelt apology from all of them, I would completely refuse to provide childcare for them. If you do get one, it's completely up to you if you decide to help them out again without some kind of monetary benefit to you. Even then, I'd completely understand if you never wanted to help them out again. It's a shame that the impressionable child will have to suffer as a result of her parents' disrespect. But ultimately, you reinstating childcare lets them win and excuses their behavior as there are no consequences. You're not a doormat. Don't allow them to walk all over you. Edit/mini update. Post's barely been up 4 hours, and I am already so grateful for all your support and advice. The angle of Nick actually wanting Barb to quit her job is not one I considered, but now I think it might actually have merit, and it makes me very worried for her. At the same time, I can't really do much until she at least acknowledges that that's just how Nick is, so stop overreacting isn't going to fly with me. I also assume it's only a matter of time until my mom is no longer an option. She's already having a hard time, so I hope I get a chance to talk to her about it. Ideally, because she sees my point of view, but I'll settle for because she's desperate. I don't know what sort of child care they'll be able to afford. They took out a large mortgage on a house they can barely afford. I will also make certain to stress to Tracy that I love her and none of this is her fault. Thank you all. Now for the first update. Alright, so I posted this yesterday and was genuinely overwhelmed by the comments, advice, and support. I'd like to thank everyone for it and feel this warrants an update. Just to clarify a few things. My dad died from a heart attack 2 years ago, which came as no surprise because he smoked a lot and lived a pretty unhealthy life, so we weren't really surprised. It wasn't his first either. He was a great grandpa and a great dad before that, and right up to the end, but his death left my mom alone and she doesn't work. My mom has MS, which is basically mostly steady, but slowly gets worse over time and flares up occasionally, and is made worse by stress, which my mom goes through now. A flare-up often means the level she gets back to isn't quite what it was before, so we mostly try to keep her stress-free. My dad had life insurance, so her house is paid for and she had a little money, but there's also a caretaker coming over 3 times a week to clean, cook, do shopping, etc., which she can't afford, so my wife and I pay for it. As I mentioned in a comment on the original post, my wife and I are probably better off financially than Barb and Nick. They have a fancy house and fancy cars, but they have a mortgage and loans. So, the great response I got made me think about this again, and I thought how I could stand my ground without giving up on Tracy altogether, and figured there was no perfect solution, and I had to settle on something. I took the day off work because I just needed to process and deal with this. One comment on the original post really got to me, about how someone would feel in Tracy's place, and I just can't do it to her now. I know this isn't the update some of you have wanted, but I just can't. I love her like she was one of my own, and my kids do as well, and it's not her fault. I unblocked my sister because obviously, if I'm going to be interacting with her child, she needs to be able to reach me. I talked to my mom during the day, and she was, again, distraught about having to pick Tracy up, which is pretty hard on her. I told her I was willing to do it, but I'm coming over and she's going to have to hear me out, to which she agreed. I talked to her for a long time, avoiding snark and lashing out this time, and just explaining that basically how serious Nick was or how he is doesn't matter. I used that rocking the boat analogy someone linked to in comments, and further stressed my point by saying that it shouldn't matter if I was justified or not in getting upset. I am her child, and if something upset me, it at least warrants giving me the benefit of the doubt before siding against me, and eventually it seemed to come through. She apologized and we hugged it out, and I think she got it. She's not a very confrontational person and generally really tries to keep the peace, and this time she went about it wrong. I'm not saying I'm not mad, but she's my mom and she apologized. I explained to her that she shouldn't be covering for me because that means I have no leg to stand on when confronting Nick and Barb, and she was receptive to it. I texted my sister that we needed to talk and I'll drop Tracy off at their place tonight, to which I got a stoic thumbs up. I picked Tracy up from daycare today, and she was overjoyed. She was actually a little possessive of me, staying by my side all afternoon instead of running off to play, which was cute but also made me feel like crap a little, because that's the impact of me not picking her up. I explained to the best of my ability that she's not in trouble and I'm not angry with her. But I am angry with her parents and we need to work that out. But I'll do my best to not stop picking her up anymore, which she was really happy about. I dropped her off in the evening, and once she was in bed, I sat down to talk with Barb and Nick. I told them flat out that Mom wasn't going to be covering for them anymore, and if they didn't let me finish what I had to say, I would get up and leave, and they can find new arrangements for Tracy. Didn't mean it, but they don't need to know that. They weren't happy, but they were willing to listen, so that's progress, or at least the threat working. I explained that this was the situation now. I don't need them to mean their apology, but I sure as heck was going to need one. This was principle now. I have spent years taking care of their child, and if they wanted to be a-holes, I wasn't going to do it for free. So this was how it goes now. 1. I am no longer going to be dropping her off in the morning until further notice. There was no excuse for the way Nick acted, and it needed to have some lasting impact. 2. I am no longer going to be paying for family outings and family vacations. It's a man's job to support his family, so good luck with that. The exception is Tracy, who is always welcome. 3. If I hear any more BS being talked about me behind my back, I am going to start charging them for my service. My plan was to dangle the thing they want, childcare, restoring it, but at the same time giving some repercussions and threat of things getting hard for them again. I also laid it on pretty thick about how I am a man, so I obviously have my pride and can't have that be disrespected, even by my own family who I obviously love. Don't really consider Nick family, but figured he wouldn't figure that out. Nick was not happy about this, and my sister actually had to take him outside to talk it out without me, but eventually they did agree to it, and I got my admittedly half-hearted apology. I could probably press it further, but I didn't want to risk having to either back down or hurt Tracy again, so I took this. There were no tears and no warm hugs, but I get to walk away with what I wanted, giving them some payback without having to give up my time with Tracy. I still plan to talk to my sister alone about her relationship with Nick and about how she sees me, but I figure I should let things calm down a bit before I do. I know this isn't the resolution some, maybe most, of you wanted, but at the end of the day, I need to find a solution I can live with, and for me this is it. We'll update if anything changes. You are paying for their family vacations? Damn. Talk about biting the hand that feed you. Mistaking kindness for weakness. For a guy obsessed with manliness, he sure can't fulfill his traditional husband duties. Repercussions for the adults is good. Tracy doesn't feel punished, but the adults have real consequences if they violate your boundaries. I think that's really important. Agreed. OP was in such a terrible position, and I feel like he really threaded the needle the best anyone could. As he said, he had to make a decision he could live with. He loves his niece and can't live with hurting her, and I would 100% feel the same. But this solution makes it clear that his parents are still in the crapper, where they should be. OP, I hope you take the time with your niece to do some counter-programming to her parents' toxic rhetoric. That poor girl needs to learn what is normal and acceptable, or she's doomed to marry a douchebag like her father because her mama taught her that's the ideal. Second update 3 months later. These past few months things have been tense, but okay. I haven't gone back on my word about dropping her off, and haven't been paying for meals or anything, really. I've also, having realized what sort of man Nick is, been gently trying to get some alone time with my sister and ask her some questions about their relationship. Has he been isolating her? Is she financially dependent on him? Can she go out with her friends? How jealous does he get? Some of her answers made me a little uncomfortable, but I can't really force her into anything. I'm not trying to excuse the way she treated me, but I also think she's in a bad situation herself, and I don't want her to become more isolated than she is. So I'm gently trying to guide her down the right path, dropping hints like, "Isn't it like what your really bad ex used to do?" and the like. I don't think she quite realizes how deep into this she is, but I also know from past experience that forcing her into anything is really going to mostly cause her to pull away and become more stubborn. So I'm trying to guide her to the right conclusion gently, while making sure she knows she has a place to go and someone to support her if she ever chooses to break things off. Nick hasn't really been anything with me. I don't think his feelings about me have changed much, but he's basically avoiding interacting with me and has to work a lot when we get together as a family, which I think might be the best outcome for everyone involved. Tracy has been sweet. She's slowly learning to read alongside my oldest and still enjoys bad words. We just use less mean bad words now. Poop has been a hit. She's now a big fan of the Tom Cardy song, "Have You Checked Your Butthole?" We've been pretty good about making clear the difference between rude words and hurtful words. Over the holidays, we went on a trip. At first, Barb and Nick were probably shocked that I was serious when I said they were welcome to join us, but I wasn't paying for anyone but Tracy if they chose to send her along. I talked it over with Barb, leaving it up to her how to convey that to Nick, who, as stated, was avoiding me. I assume he didn't take it well, but I don't really have a way of knowing for sure. Barb, for her part, tried doubling down, getting me to cave, but I stood my ground. I said I wasn't paying for things, and I meant it. I explained again that this wasn't about a specific trip, but about the fact that I used to believe that they genuinely and unconditionally loved me, and that is just no longer the case. It's not something I can just unfeel. I need this to feel like I am standing up for myself, and she can choose to respect my feelings and my decision, or to be angry, but I won't back down on this. The only choice that is up to her is to come on her own dime or not to, and to send Tracy along with us or not if she chooses not to come. She ended up sending her along, and we had a blast. My wife seems much relieved to no longer have to put up with Nick as often. She apparently had him pegged from the get-go, but wanted me to come to my own conclusions, and was hoping he wasn't as bad as he seemed to her initially. She's glad I'm standing up for myself, and is glad we still get to hang out with Tracy. I still hope someday Barb comes to her senses about her situation, and I will support her fully if she does, despite not quite being over what she either thought about me or at least didn't stand up for me to Nick about. But she's still my family. Regardless, thank you to everyone for your support and advice. Now for the recent update 9 months later. I'm having a hard time being there for my sister after my mom's passing. I don't really know how to explain this frustration really. It's not that she did anything wrong. She's not being rude or hurtful or anything. I'm just really tired. I feel like I'm spread too thin, and I don't have much left to give. It's all just too much. It all started a few months back. My mom's health took a turn for the worse. She started some treatment, which made her immune system go out of whack, and unfortunately that caused an infection, and she was just gone. It was a matter of weeks. One moment she was her usual self, then she had an MS flare-up, and soon she was just gone. It was so sudden. And then before I really had time to deal with my feelings about that, my sister told me she was getting divorced. I don't blame my sister for that. The way her ex behaved regarding my mom's health and passing made it absolutely the right choice. But my sister just started depending on me so much for everything. Emotional support, childcare. It was too much. I used to be able to be there for her all the time, but I just can't as much anymore. I have a job. I have my own children to deal with. I can't have a 2-hour phone call with her at 2 a.m. and then get up and function all day like I could when I was 23. To make things worse, her ex is making the divorce an absolute nightmare. He keeps making things up or randomly opposing previously agreed to terms, which my sister needs to deal with, often involving turning to her lawyer, the social worker managing the case, and sometimes a judge. It drains her time and resources, and then I have to shoulder some of that load as well. It gets absurd. At one point, he used her spare key to her car to take his daughter's car seat. There was no reason to, as far as I can tell, except it being a gift from his mom or something and wanting to be petty. He just left her without telling her, which meant I had to be called to give her my spare. It was the pettiest nonsense in existence. They're trying to sell their house, which they have to do to cover what I now know to be an absolutely unreasonable mortgage they took out to buy it. But this having to go through 2 levels of lawyers, the ones handling their divorce and the one handling the property stuff, also makes it both cumbersome and exhausting. And I'm just drained. I want to be there for my sister, and even more importantly, my niece. But I'm just so tired all the time. I feel myself having less patience, becoming less fun with the kids. I hate that they're paying the price for what isn't their fault at all, but I just don't know what to do. I considered therapy, but I genuinely don't have the time. My wife's been a godsend, but her work is incredibly demanding, and there's only so much she can reasonably do. And besides, these aren't really her monkeys. I can only reasonably burden her with so much. I'm just drained. I don't know what to do really except soldier on, but it's just really hard right now. Much like OP, I am also finding it hard to find any sympathy for his sister. It is sad that it took their mom passing for sister to finally see a problem in her husband. Her immediate family calls OP slurs. Then she proceeds to double down, and now she expects him to drop everything at 2 a.m. to be there for her, since her husband has now turned on her. She needs to figure herself out and stop making her family's lives harder. I've met people who thought their spouse talking absolute garbage about innocent friends and relatives was cute, right up until their spouse turned all that vitriol on them. Suddenly, it was a major divorce-worthy offense. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive my brother-in-law for having feelings for me and not inviting him to Christmas? I'm on a throwaway because, understandably, I don't want this on my main. And yes, I know how this sounds. Just bear with me. Adam is married to my sister June. They have a 2-year-old son. I have a daughter who is 9 months old. In April of this year, June and Adam went through a brief separation because he admitted to her that he had developed feelings for me. This apparently happened during my pregnancy and continued after I had my daughter. According to June, he swears it's not a fetish and that he actually loved that I didn't seem pregnant. Not the point, but I just thought I'd add it because I jumped to the fetish thing. Obviously, he and June went through a really rough time, but decided to work through it by attending couples therapy. Could never be me, but it's her life. The thing is, I cannot trust Adam anymore. Just the thought of him makes me nauseous. We stopped having them over, or even going to family things at the same time because of how weird it was. And while June insists she and Adam are in a good place and are over this bump, I'm not. I don't want to see or talk to him. This is a guy I considered part of my family. He helped me set up my husband's Valentine's Day present. He put air in my tires. He held my daughter. And for a good chunk of time, he was imagining doing things with me? I'm disgusted. And I know he was because June found his internet history. I don't want to be near him. He has apologized to me via email, but I just don't accept it. I want to, for June, but I feel violated. So for that reason, I didn't invite June and Adam for Christmas, since I'm hosting the family. I thought June would be understanding, but she's not. She's calling me mean and petty, and saying I'm making her marriage problems about me when it's her relationship, and that no one is going to move on from this if I don't let them. But I don't want this man staying in my house, and I know it's about her marriage, not about me, but I was, unknowingly, part of her marriage for a hot minute there, and I still feel just grossed out by it all. June is mad because she feels like the reason my parents are holding back on forgiving Adam is because of me, and that Christmas is the time to mend fences. Am I the a-hole for not wanting him there? Not the a-hole. This has nothing to do with her or her marriage. This is about you feeling violated. Your sister has to decide if she can trust him, but so do you. If you do not feel comfortable being around him, then you don't. It's not your fault he was perving on you. No one should be forced to have someone they do not feel safe with in their home. Have they offered to pay for therapy for you? They got to work through his actions, but you just have to accept he was perving because your sister accepts it? If you let them in, tell them they need to pay for door locks and CCTV cameras, as you won't feel safe. I can afford therapy myself, but I've actually been going since before the birth of my daughter. I just have other things to talk about. It's not like this bothers me day to day. It's just when it comes up, I am hit with the fact that I want nothing to do with this slug.